Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
Today was one of those days where I just went like Captain Republican and just went out and bought like so much crap that you probably didn't need, but it's better for me that I did. And it's one of those ones like, you probably go like, oh, so you're going to talk all about this stuff. Like, no, not yet.
Doesn't come in yet. I'm just
like,
going to brag about I bought all this shit I really didn't have to buy, but I did.
Or it's just sitting there and it's like, I'll get to it maybe tonight or so or something like that. But it's
Wait,
like,
so
no.
it's in your house, but yet you've yet to play any of these things?
No, I just got home like right before you called me anyways. I was out like at the grocery store and then was like, I'm going to go pick up Mad Max because that was more important than anything else. So I go to get that, and then I knew that Metal Gear Solid was coming in the mail from Amazon. And I was standing there and I was like, I saw the Mad Max game. I'm like, do I get it? Do I not get it? I looked up earlier online. I looked on Amazon. I'm like, I just want to see what their reviews are, just because that was one of those games you never know. So I looked it up and I was like, everybody's giving it 5 stars. They all say it's amazing. They say it's like Batman with better driving mechanics. I'm like, Batman already had good driving mechanics, so that sounds pretty sweet. So I thought about it all day long, kind of dwindled there. And then when I went to get Mad Max, I got it in my hand, the movie. I'm like, such a Mad Max mode. Such a Mad Max. Fucking love Mad Max. And I go like, I'm going to get the game. Fuck it. I'm going to go Captain Republican. I'm going to get the game. And I'm like, you got Metal Gear Solid. That's like the only downfall. Like when 2 big games kind of come out the same day, it's like, okay, Metal Gear Solid I know is going to be a big game. Might even be the biggest Metal Gear Solid that they've released because it just sounds like they're taking it to the next level. So with limited time to really play all this stuff, it's just that thing. It's like, I know that I might not play that Mad Max game anytime soon, and I know it's always a bad idea to start 2 big games at the same time. But it's like, fuck it, I'm just going to get it. You know why? America. I literally shouted that out right before I bought it. I was just like, America. We can make decisions like that here. That's what it's all about.
You literally had like Solid Snake appear on one shoulder, like Mad Max appear on the other shoulder.
Just be like, you want them all.
And you're like, I can't get mad at either of you guys. Let's go with both of them. I'm like, all right, good one for us. Yeah.
It's like that episode of The Simpsons where like there's like Donkey Kong and Mario. Like, come on, man, buy it or take it, just take it. It's it's the publisher's fault.
It was like Donkey Kong and it was like Mario says, "Don't do it, bots. Don't do it. What did your mother say?" And then like Donkey Kong just running in a circle, just making gorilla noises,
and then Sonic comes out.
He's like, just take it. It just disappears.
And so somebody's there explaining reasoning. I don't know if it's like Luigi or something. He's like, it's the publisher's fault for making you want it so bad. Except when
they actually were okay.
When you get older though, then you're just like slap down some money. Yeah. What are you gonna do?
I don't even know I'm gonna play it. Don't even know I'm gonna finish it. Let's see what happens though. Here's $60. Why? Because I got that kind of availability.
I might not have time, but I definitely got the money. So I just went like all out and just spent all kinds of money just to get all this good stuff. Because the worst part too is like in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, fucking Mario Maker comes out too. It's just like.
Yeah,
it's that horrible time, like mostly about right now.
Horrible time, just an Auschwitz of a time. It's just like, of all these video games coming out. Yeah, it's
that time where it's just like, God, there's just that so much good stuff and not enough time, to enjoy it all. I know that's what it's like to live in America. You complain because there's too much good things.
Too many options, man. It's just too good.
Yeah. So with all that fun stuff. The one thing I did say I had to do beforehand is there was a sale, and sometimes it's funny how like a sale will get me to buy something that like I want, but sometimes I go, I don't know if I want to pay that price. It happened with me when they had the Arkham Knight DLC. I was like $40. I probably should get it. I don't know. It might not be that good. It might just be okay. And then it was like $30. I'm like, fuck it, $30. I'll do it. And it's like a $10 savings, but I don't know what it is. Just like that 25% off, you're like, that's not going to happen after a week. Buy it now. Same thing happened. They had this retro sale on PS4, and there's these 2 games that I always want to play. Technically, just one's a sequel. But have you ever played Hotline Miami?
I've heard of it. Isn't that one it's kind of like... I think I got this one mixed up with... wasn't it kind of like it's sort of a parody on Grand Theft Auto?
That's Retro City Rampage.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Another amazing game. And now there's one of those ones like I really do dig a lot of these cool kind of like I guess you call them indie games.
Modern day retro.
Yeah, the modern retro ones. because like something like Shovel Knight was just full on amazing. I really dug Retro City Rampage, and then this Hotline Miami is kind of like it reminds me of that same type of category. Now I will say there's sometimes I flip through a game on PSN, I look at the screenshots, I'm like, this looks kind of interesting. They're like, yeah, we're trying to do like this 80s thing, it's gonna be cool. And you flip through the screenshots, you're like, I have no idea what's going on. Like, what is this game about? Like, is that who I'm playing as? Is that my character? Like, what is that? I can't tell. Like, so sometimes there's those ones that's just, they look, and maybe the game's good when it's in motion, because sometimes video games look strange when you take a screenshot of them, because it just doesn't make any sense. But
I think mostly, go ahead.
No, you finish off.
I was going to say, whenever I go, I mean, for a little while, because, I wasn't used to the option of having, like, internet connected to my console, being from the mountains and all, though it wasn't seem like much of an option. Once I actually got it, though, I just went on a little bit of this short craze of just buying a lot of, like, downloadable games, and unfortunately, not a whole lot of them really jump out at me. A lot of them just seem kind of like cell phone games on your PlayStation 4.
Yeah, those are the ones that, like, I always go, like they look kind of dumb. Now,
even some of the retro ones kind of have that vibe to them. Not all of them, but some of the retro ones do.
Well, there's always these retro games on there that people will get really into. They're like, oh my god, this game's so cool, so cool. And I'll sit there, and I feel like an old man kind of just sitting there going like, I played that fucking game before. Came out in 1987. Where the fuck were you? Like, I get like that kind of thing. Like, that's all it is. It's just got some shiny-ass graphics on fucking Robotron 64. Where the fuck you been? Or not Robotron 64. 2024. The 64 one's the N64 one. But, that's I look at some of those games and I go,
smooth save. Yeah.
Why are people so, like, into these ones? It's just, to me, it's like, dude, we fucking already played that. Or there's a lot of games that kind of rip off Smash TV nowadays. And you kind of go, I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with ripping off something and then doing something kind of cool with it, but you just kind of look at some of them and they just go, that just looks like a half-assed version of Smash TV.
The ones I usually, I find myself, not that I'm going to sound kind of maybe pretentious for a minute, I'll usually try and go for like the weird kind of like, not the ones that are trying to be super retro, because you say Shovel Knight's good. I'll have to check out Shovel Knight.
They have a physical copy coming out in I think October. And it has like some of the new content on it too, and it's $20. I'll probably go out and even just buy it because I like that game so much that I would buy it again.
For America, you already got it, but you just rebuy it again anyway.
Rebuy it again. Well, if it's got new content on it too, because who knows, they might charge you like $10 for it to download. Might as well pay the extra $10 and have a physical copy.
Yeah, well, anyway, I'd lean rather than more like the retro stuff, because like you said, I played this shit before. Why are you trying to just present it as something new? Like, so I'd often go looking for like some of the more of the artsier stuff, just something a little different. But then like it'll be very visually beautiful game and all that. But then as it goes on, it just becomes a little bit more just like annoying, kind of tedious. Like a game that like I'm gonna finish it at some point, but a game that was like, I really liked when I first started playing it, that as it went on, it just got more just annoying because how sensitive the controls were, and it's all running on just like mechanics and puzzle solving and that kind of stuff. And the physics of the game, just jumping on things just right, weight distribution, that kind of thing. Limbo is one of those games that, like, when I first saw it and first played it, I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool, it's so weird. But then it kind of like, oh, that charm kind of runs out. And it's not that it's a bad game, that's how a lot of those games kind of work,
So that's one of the ones where I literally flipped through the screenshots on this one, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I couldn't tell.
Basically, it's a game, everything's kind of done in silhouettes for the most part, and has a really weird, creepy, black and white and gray art style. Mm-hmm. And you're just a boy, and these things are just chasing you, trying to kill you. I don't know if there's some big twist at the end that you're dead or you're in limbo. I don't know if there's some big plot twist or anything, but it's more of like it's very like kind of traditional storytelling where there's no dialogue at all, and you see little things in the level try and give you a hint of what you're supposed to do, and it's kind of like old school Prince of Persia is trying to figure out the puzzle, and sometimes though the thing is so like touchy, and like some of the puzzles, like how the fuck was I supposed to figure that out? I'd have to go look on walkthroughs, and the person in the walkthrough would be like, what the fuck do you want me to do? And then, so I would have to do that every so often, and it's a good game, but I'm stuck on this part where I see what I got to do, but like, fuck that, that's gonna take a minute. I'll get back to it, and then I got Batman. So
Well, it's
Then I got Far Cry 4. Then I got Batman.
So now you just got the stack and the overwhelming stack of life that one day you'll end up dying underneath.
Actually, that doesn't happen with me in video games. That happens with me in the comics. I got a ridiculous, like, I literally, it's at the point, like, if it's something kind of like, Matt Fraction's Hawkeye or anything by Scott Snyder or something like that, or Brian Lee O'Malley, I'll probably read it as soon as I get it. But like other stuff, it's been like, oh, this Hulk, I want to read this. I'll get to it. So it's kind of like, I don't have that big stack of video games that's going to kill me. I got a big stack of comics. It's just going to like topple on top of me one day. And yeah.
Yeah, well, going back to Hotline Miami, though, like, this is one of the ones, because it reminds me like why I like games like Shovel Knight and Retro City Rampage, because Shovel Knight's that kind of game. It just feels like it's this lost Super Nintendo game that you just never played that was just totally amazing. It doesn't feel like, it feels like it takes like the good elements from things like Mega Man and Castlevania and Mario and all that stuff and Ghosts and Goblins, but it also, at the exact same time, it just feels just like some game that for some reason got buried underneath the ground and finally was dug up, 15 years
by
later.
himself.
Yeah, like he literally fucking dug himself out of there. He's like, here I am, here's the only copy, make copies of it now. And it's like, that's how good that game is.
I didn't mean to cut you off there, sorry about that. He almost seems kind of like, looking at him, I know it's all meant to look retro, but he almost seems like something that could have, and I don't mean that just by the pixel art, just the way how he's designed and he looks. He almost does look like something that came out around the same time as Mega Man or Super Mario Brothers or something to that effect. Around that same time. Like, he looked like he came out, like, just the way the artwork looks. It looks very, like, Super Nintendo-ish.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. It has just that total, like, it's like a Super Nintendo game that for some reason, like, if I had to put it up there with, like, a Super Nintendo game, it's like, it's almost in between, like, did you play Mario, Donkey Kong Country, Mega Man X, so on? Did you play fucking Shovel Knight? It's like, it's right in there. Like, that's how good it fucking is. And
they just came out with the Shovel Knight amiibo, so that means they're probably going to be...
I know, I tried to look. It's not out yet. It was like in Europe you could buy them, because I was trying to buy one. Like, I don't own a fucking amiibo, but there's a Shovel Knight one. For some reason, that one jumped out at me.
Chances are, I bet he will eventually become a downloadable character for Smash Brothers. There's no way they let a character that's that loved and they have amiibo for it not go to Super Smash Brothers.
They got some type of party game that's out right now that's just got a bunch of like those indie characters all in one game, and she's one of the characters. But now going back to the Hotline Miami, the fucking thing we've been trying to talk about for the last 10 minutes. What makes that game really cool? It's like this top-down one, and what it reminds me of more than anything else is the True Lies game for Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. Like, that's what it reminds me of more than anything else. Maybe other people would say other games, like even something like a Smash TV or something like that, but it's like, no, the play mechanics are very similar to that. But it's also just got this really fucking cool story it's just weird and sort of creepy all at the same time. Like, you should just check it out for, like, the artwork's amazing in it. It sounds weird, but just how creepy and weird it looks, and how you're going off doing these kind of like hits, because that's all it is. You're just this guy. You wake up every day. You go to the phone. They tell you to go somewhere, like go pick up the dry cleaning. Make sure you wear a nice suit, something like that. And then you go in and you do your mission where you kill all the people and finish off. And as it goes on, you kind of just build in this story of like you just keep doing these calls over and over, and then you go off afterwards and you either go to the bar or you go to the video store and all this stuff, and you talk to this guy.
The video store.
And it's awesome. Literally like you talk to this guy, it's like the same guy that works at everywhere there is and so on. And just the way it moves is like their heads will slightly turn and like their mouths flap, but then what makes it weird is they got these weird colored lips. Like they're like either pink and then these teeth, and just in that kind of pixel art style, it just looks fucking weird with this kind of strange music playing too. But I don't know what it is. There's just something about it. Like, this game is just really captured me almost like a Shovel Knight capture. And it is that kind of thing where the only thing that makes it kind of different, it feels like it's kind of like has all the old vibe to it, but just for how violent it is, it's like, it's like a game that would never be able to be released back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Is it like, are you killing like innocent people just wherever, or are they
No.
all hits that you're getting?
You're killing kind of like mobsters and bad people and so on. But yeah, it's just kind of like one of those ones, just, I don't know, it's just the look about it. It kind of reminds me also like, sort of like Postal, because that's how that game kind of felt too, is this top-down shooter thing, where you just kind of go out. But that one, like, 'Cause I remember the Postal. I remember reading like a story. It was just like,
I want to say Postal had like a, maybe I'm wrong here. I want to say it had kind of like not something kind of like maybe Grand Theft Auto, like early Grand Theft Auto graphics, where it was sort of 3D at a certain angle, but it wasn't like trying to be too pixelated.
no, yeah,
Wasn't.
yeah. Postal was more like that. This Hotline Miami's all kind of like pixelated. It feels like not necessarily like a regular
Genesis.
Nintendo game, but just right before a Super Nintendo game. Not as clear as a Super Nintendo, but still pixelated. But yeah, and then like you go along the way, and then you even meet another guy, and like this other guy's killing all the people you know, and then you finally figure out the guy's like, well, I just answer the telephone. They just give me these jobs. That's all I do. So you realize there's another guy out there who's just like you. And then the second one starts answering all these other questions of who these random ass people you keep talking to are throughout.
And there's no actual dialogue. It's all text, right?
Yeah, it's all text. So that makes it better anyway, because then you kind of in your mind you picture how people sound. A lot of times I think
whenever you're a kid, though, wouldn't you imagine just somebody just had like they show a picture of like an intimidating guy and be like, no one can get through here. Can you just give him like the most
no, that's like the guy that's fucking in Majora's Mask that stands in front of the gate. He's like, you can't get through here. Or even worse, the one in Ocarina of Time, like, I have a job that's important.
Oh, those guys. Yeah, there's no way around. No way you can make those guys sound like badasses. I'm saying every once when you're a kid, you see this, you just always, there'd be that one just like really tough guy. I'm thinking of something like, maybe not Barrett, but something to the effect of Barrett. Be like, oh, Link, you're fucking up again. Like this real big badass, but no one's gonna. But he just has this really like tiny voice, but no one's gonna fuck with him just because like, well, yeah, he's got a funny voice, but I mean, what are we gonna do about it? You know, look at the rest of them.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Well, yeah, when you get the chance, check out that Hotline Miami. You'll just appreciate it for like just the art and the way it goes. It just doesn't feel like anything you've ever played before.
I'll have to check that out because I thought that was just. I almost thought. I mean, just glancing at it, I almost thought it was like you're a cop just going around stopping like crime. But now, just glancing at it, but now they know that you're like a hitman and doing. It's this weird artsy kind. It almost sounds like I know this is not what the movie is. I know that's not what the game is, but just from the sound of it, it sounds like it's trying to be kind of like. Is it made to take place in the 90s or the 80s?
The first one takes place in 89. The second one jumps around between about 4 different stories from 85 to 91.
85 to 91. This sounds kind of like, I mean, maybe just because it's the, decade they're homaging, but it kind of sounds maybe something like The Guest or Drive.
Oh, yeah.
It has this real, like, 80s sensibility, but yet it's still very dark and very... Because think about, like, a lot of 80s movies is, yeah, they can be dark and they could be violent, but they didn't seem to get, like... I'm sure if you look long enough, you could probably pinpoint a few, but they seem to be more of just kind of like popcorn, fun movies, the ones that people often look to the 80s. You don't find the ones that kind of like, something like The Guest, where I know it's not an 80s movie, but it kind of tries to focus on the more like fucked up, weird psychological stuff with all these nods to the 80s, where Drive was this very dark, very violent movie, but it was just like, it just had that kind of 80s pop vibe to it at the same time.
Yeah, this one's got like, it's like farther you go down the game, like in the first one, there'll be parts where you go to like talk to somebody like afterwards, and it's just like there's a guy standing out in front of like the store, and you go to talk to him, and he's got a dog sitting there, and then it just shows like the guy and the dog, and they're like half their faces are missing and everything, and they're still talking to you, and so on.
Oh wow, so this is really fucked up.
And then there's other parts too, like in the second one, you play as like 4 different people. You play as like this police officer who just kind of reminds you like Nick Nolte. He's just like, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna take care of this. And whatnot. I'll go in there, I'll kick their fucking asses, I don't give a problem. And then you play as a couple guys who are, it's like, sort of like they're in Vietnam, but like not really Vietnam, it's like in the 80s somewhere. I almost want to say they start off in Hawaii, so I don't know what kind of fucking war they're fighting there. And then you play as 4 guys who are wearing masks and just going out killing people. I guess you play as a bunch of people too, because then you play as this fat redneck guy, and then you also play. There's this part where you're playing as a writer who's just trying to write this crime novel. So he's
link everything together.
Well, no, he's kind of like asking questions. Like he'll meet a guy who's like, well, you were a masked murderer at some point. Like, could you tell me some of your stories? And he goes off, and like you'll have these levels too where like he's kind of has to like fight his way out. And at first, like you don't kill anybody. You just kind of like knock them out. You pick up their guns and you like disarm them and so on. But what you can do though is once you're like. You knock a guy down the ground, you could sit there and keep punching the punch button, and then you'll just eventually bust their head open, and then like the screen will get a little bit red. And if you do that to about 3 different guys, then you can start picking up guns and stuff and just start killing everybody. And then the weird thing is later on is there'll be these guys there all wearing masks, and they all have like animal masks on. and this guy will show up, just some regular guy, and then it's almost like if he hallucinates this, and then the screen will change a bunch of colors, and it'll have this dark music, and there'll just be this guy in this chicken mask or rooster mask just looking at you like, you enjoyed that killing there, didn't you? Well, that's okay. We got more missions for you like this and so on. Just all dark and ominous and whatnot.
I'm actually really intrigued by this game now, because when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, whatever.
Well, it's one of those, yeah, you kind of just look at it, like, I looked at the picture, and I'm like, that looks like my kind of game. I heard good things about it, but I didn't realize it had, like, it's all the extra stuff to it. You just, like the gameplay itself is just really fun, and it has the kind of, like, it reminds me, like, sort of how Double Dragon played, because what I love about Double Dragon is that was a game that you were just as strong as every other character in there. You know what I mean? Like, everybody you fight has, like, almost, like, the exact same health and strength and everything you have. This game's kind of like that, too, where everything, you can kill everybody in, like, one hit, but they can also kill you in one hit, too. It's sort of, like, realistic like that. And you just kind of go through, like, floors, and once you beat the floor, then you can go again, but sometimes you get pissed.
Is it brawling? I thought it was almost more like top-down, or kind of like 45-degree angle,
just like,
averted
it's
view.
It's, like, totally top, it's just like True Lies. That is the number one game I can say it's like, is the True Lies game. I guess other games would be similar to it. I guess like Grand Theft Auto, if you just kind of like disinclude the driving parts, like that kind of like thing.
Okay. I'm now kind of interested in this game.
But no, it's like just the story and all the kind of stuff that goes on. That's like that's almost what sucks you in. And then the music itself is really badass. And the game's fucking made by 2 people. So
yeah, I when you first talked with, I assumed this was like I confused this with Retro City Rampage. So
yeah, and Retro City Rampage, that one's like a great game too, and that's more like a fun kind of thing. You're killing people, but it's not like they don't like worry about. This one almost gives you like a sensibility of like almost that thing. You're doing all these brutal killings and everything like that, but it almost has that thing where it's like, you know, it kind of says
making you think about
all the killing you do too at the same time, which is kind of neat.
It does kind of a Last of Us kind of. Well, I mean, a lot of people say like Last of Us made me feel really fucking bad, because there's a part where it's just like, yeah, y'all killed some of, like, you come across David and the other cannibals, and they're like, yeah, you came across some of our families. You found out these guys have been tracking you down. They're like, you killed them. Just like, so the game tried to be wrong. It's a fantastic game. I love that game, but it's like, you try to kill us, and now we're trying to kill you. This is just the way, circle of life, you know, just like.
Fuck you.
You guys are cannibals. Fuck you. You know, because every once in a while, a video game will try to be like, are we deep down? We're all just a bunch of monsters. Like, actually, no. They attacked me first. Fuck them. You know, you do kind of like. I know it's not what I'm supposed to feel. That's not how we're supposed to act. We are supposed to be a little bit more civil. But every once in a while,
video game.
The arrogant side of your brain is like, fuck them. You know.
No, yeah, it's
like it's kind of like I Am Legend. Like there's like not with the original story. Maybe there's some facts they left out, but that I don't remember. But like it'd be like, yeah, you're the monster. You're the one breaking in there and attacking them at night. Like, well, what was he doing? He was trying to survive out by himself, yelling out into this microphone where he's at, and then. They had the option. He's like, hey, I'm going to be here, guys. Just come and get me. You had the option to send the half-human girl to tell him ahead of time, but you didn't. Instead, you just did the same old thing. Fuck you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, I don't have fucking moral responsibilities for you. Well, it's like in The Last of Us, like, I didn't care for those people at all. I was like, no, fuck these people. Let's kill them. Like, clearly they're bad guys. Obviously, I need to kill.
Well, plus there's that part when like, even though it tries to bring up that whole moral question when you come to the Fireflies, the whole thing like, do you sacrifice one girl for the sake of humanity or whatever? There's that whole.
And I was just like, it's time to kick Firefly fucking ass. These fucking panties are going down. America. Like, cause that part was just badass. You just run through, you're just like, fuck everybody.
Yeah, it's just like we're not even supposed to be. I think it's kind of funny. Every once in a while, the game would try and make you think about it, like. Now this is wrong, but you got to do this to beat the game. Okay, that's fucking awesome, but you're supposed to feel morally conflicted. No,
it's like, no. I've been wanting to kill these guys since the beginning. These Firefly guys just sound like a bunch of assholes this whole time.
I just love that part, like when fucking like right when you're getting escorted out, there's the one guy who's like, move, fucking move, and then like Joel swoops around. She like bashes the guy in the face, takes the gun from him. She's like, "Where's Ellie?" Before he even has a chance to answer the question, he's like, "I don't got time for this shit." Shoots him in the stomach. He's like, "Where's Ellie?" Oh, fuck yeah! And then he just like shoots the guy right in the head. Just He's like, bring him on. Just like, oh yeah. Then that's the part of the game we're supposed to make you go like, I don't know if this is right, but when you're, I don't know, the caveman side of your brain kicks in like, no, fuck it. Where's the gun? Where's the gun? Let's kill all these fucks.
I guess I only had one side on that. I was just like, fucking Joel is badass and he should just kill everybody. That's what I like about Joel though, is like because he has I think all these moments where you get afraid that they're gonna do that thing that I hate it. Like it happens in horror movies. Like I can't kill him. I know this person. He's got a life. It's like I like when somebody goes, nope, fucking just takes charge of it and just does it. And that's what I liked about what Joel did. Is he always just said, fuck it, this guy's got to die. This is how it's gonna be. I don't think about these things. And I thought that was just badass because that's something. It's like that a lot of times can turn a good horror movie into a bad one is when you start getting dumb characters who can't make like smart decisions. Oh. You know, so for the have a character just like, fuck it, I'm just going to kill my way out of this place.
Kill my way out, the Joel story.
He just puts on a pair of shades, just grabs a double machine gun, just starts walking down, just blasting everybody to death.
No, well, that was just, I don't know, I just thought that was an all-around great game. I mean, gameplay-wise, I mean, maybe put it this way. Gameplay-wise, fun, good game. I think it's really the story. I mean, I don't want to be this guy because it's usually the. I think video game wise, what mainly keeps me going is the gameplay. Is it fun or not? It is a fun game, but what more had me going of all things in that game was probably the voice acting and the story, and just because it was actually all very. It was probably like some of the best voice acting I've heard in a video game with some of the best writing I've heard in a video game. I'm not going to say the best, but probably some of the best at least. And I don't know, just like I just remember being hooked primarily on that. I was more. It's kind of like one of those things, like Metal Gear Solid. I've always enjoyed the gameplay, and the gameplay is fun. But more than anything, I was more intrigued about the story, kind of where that's going and all that.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like because that's that double thing. If Metal Gear Solid didn't have like a grand story, it would be one of those games where you'd be like, well, this is fun, but you know, it's just kind of like it's a fun game, but that's about it. You know, that the story is, I think, what makes the game legendary. Maybe that's the thing that makes me get. Maybe that's the thing. I know I'm getting older because I'm thinking about more games, and I'm like Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight is a really fun game. Don't get me wrong, it is a lot of fun, but I really like Batman. I think if you put something else, like a different coating over that game, something that wasn't Batman, just an original game, I'm sure I'd have a fun time. But I think the fact that it's Batman kind of outweighs everything else. It sort of tops it off. I think I'm at this age where I'm getting a little bit more biased. Like, well, the gameplay can be fun, but I think after a while, when you get older, you just kind of know that, like, well, it's kind of the same thing, just a few more bells and whistles. So now I'm like, well, do I like the story? Do I like the characters? I feel like that's almost kind of bringing me in now, the more I think about it. Well, because, like, in my personal opinion, I still think that stories are told the best in a video game. And I think the reason is because you sort of just live with these people. You know, when you watch a movie, you're watching somebody else's life. In a video game, strange enough, it's like you feel like you're one of them. I mean, like, when I play Gears of War, I feel like I'm Marcus. Mm-hmm. You know, I always felt like when Kyle plays it with me, he's Dom. It's just like, that's just who we are. That you know what I mean? Not like we look like those guys at all whatsoever. Only when Dom's wife dies, kind of like, drop it. Fine, let's find me another. Kyle, we're in the middle of this mission. We got to stop the Reaver. No, fuck it. I got to fuck something. What I used to fuck is dead now. Let's go. Okay, Kyle. We'll get back to saving the world. That's the reason we broke in here. I was gonna, she's fucking dead now, and I don't want to make it weird, so let's just find me something to fuck. Well, because it's one of those ones, like, I'll say this, in a movie, I mean, you can really relate to characters, and you can really enjoy them and stuff, but you don't get that feeling like you were there with them. It never has that feeling, and you get that with a video game. And I think it's also, too, like, something like a Final Fantasy, you spend, like, so many hours with these people and whatnot, it's just, like, you just feel such a part of it. And I think that's why you can't capture that same thing in a movie, and sort of why a video game is like the grandest way to tell a story at the moment. Mm-hmm. I think, I'm trying to think of the last, like, there's, going back to, like, Last of Us for a minute. Do you ever watch the Elders React channel at all? And it's not actually their channel, but that's one of the shows on there, the React channel. Who? All right, there's some like YouTube guys called the Fine Brothers. You know, they have their own series and all that. One of the things they do is they have this series called the React series, which is they'll show somebody something, you see a little screen of it, and you see the reactions of it. And they've done it with teens react to original Super Smash Brothers, kids react to Game Boy. Oh, they do all that stuff? Because I always look at those things and I go like, dumb, and I just bypass it.
I'm not gonna lie. I usually don't watch all of them. If it's something that I'm kind of curious about. So one day I just fell down the YouTube hole and I saw elders react to Last of Us. So if it's something that I'm a little interested in, it's like I don't really care what people our age or what kids think because it's one of those things. Like I don't. Really, it's more of like like they had like elders playing like Mortal Kombat. Like that one, I was like, okay, I'm a little curious. You know what I mean? It's probably the old people. I'm curious to know what the old people think. I don't really care about what all the young kids are doing, So I just kind of once in a while, depending on what they're doing, I might check that out. And I watched they played The Last of Us. Usually the video's like, how does this work? I don't get it. And then like by the end of it, yeah. And basically it ends right where Sarah dies. That's as far as they get. And right when it gets to that point, though. Like everybody that they weren't like head over heels in love with the game, but they were like, "Oh, this is a good game. I actually like this." They actually liked it, and one of the ladies was actually crying when the girl died. I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" That kind of says a lot how far video games has come. But the one that even beside that little social experiment, the other one that's good though, is how many of them actually got into Mortal Kombat. They played the newest Mortal Kombat. How many of them, or Grand Theft Auto, like some of them were like, I can't figure this thing out. It's too hard. It's not fun. Other ones were just like, oh no, I totally. They're just like, this is a very violent game, is it? By the end, they're just like firing at people. Like, oh, there's one, just running someone over.
Like it's that sort of thing. It's like you don't get it till you actually do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's one of those ones. I think too. It's like I think anybody who's kind of older. If they went out and, if you just went and said you picked, almost like if you took like your parents, you sat down and you said like, here is 10 games that I think have impressive stories that you would just love the hell out of if you just got into it. Like say you took something like, I think Uncharted is a perfect example of a game that you could like let somebody play because it's just like, it's like an interactive action adventure, modern day Indiana Jones one. Like how could you like, not just love the hell out of this no matter who you were. As long as you could get down the controls and everything like that. It's one of those things where, like, you just love the hell out of it.
You left the fridge open?
I did?
Yes.
I didn't leave it open.
Well, I haven't gone in.
No, okay, well.
Spencer, you left the fucking fridge open!
It's not my fault the fridge doesn't automatically close itself.
Yeah, it's staying open.
So this is America. We should have a goddamn robot closing that fridge for ourselves. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your ass.
God damn it, if I got fucking enough time and effort to buy a bunch of video games I don't have time to play, I should have a goddamn robot.
Shit, we went and buy a robot when we rose over to Walmart. Should have bought a robot, a fridge closing robot.
It's a
We
good
will
fucking
reach that
invention
point
right there.
we will reach that point where it's just a fucking robot. Like there's this actually, I'm still in the middle of a joke from Rick and Morty, but there's a part where like there's a little like butter robot at the table he made. He says like, "Pass the butter, please." He says, "What is my purpose?" "You pass butter." He's like, "Oh dear God." Just looks at it's like it looks like it is like butter knife hands like. Oh dear God! And later in the episode, like like Rick is having a bad day. He says like, "Hey man, you want to hang out?" No, all I do is pass butter, and just rolls off the side of the thing and kills itself.
Well, it's like in the future we'll get to this point where like we just got these robots that literally just do everything for us. So people will be so fucking lazy. It'll just be like somebody just be walking home, just like rips his clothes off, just throws it any old place. The robot's following behind him, picking it up. Like I got that, sir. Then just opens the fridge, just kind of leaves it open, knocks over a couple things, like whatever.
I'm gonna get my money's worth out of this robot. Like fucking throws like a gallon of milk on the ground.
Just takes the whole fridge, throws it on the ground. I want to see how strong you fucking are. Pick that up.
The Rubik's or whatever it is comes rolling by. Little electronic arms start lifting it up. It's like it's very hard. It's like like gets it up after like 2 minutes by itself. This
gets it up.
Gets it
just
back
collapses
up.
right back on him.
And
he's like, "Sir, help
"Master,
me! I am trapped under the fridge."
"Master, please." Like a real robot can get it up. I paid $300 for you. I want to see $300 worth. Pick this fucking thing up. All right, I'm not asking for a whole lot now.
He's like, "Yeah, I paid $300 hard-earned dollars. Like I was on the discount rack. I'm only made just to pick up clothes." Like, "Yeah, well, you're a robot, so you should be able to do everything. I saw the fucking Terminator when I was a child. Don't fucking lie to me."
"You got a vacuum on you, right?" "Yes." Like unzips his pants. "Come on, you got dual use." Oh God, no.
Not again. This is why I was returned and refurbished.
Why was I programmed with emotions?
I hate being sold at Walmart. You just get one bad owner after the other.
They fucking bring it back the next day. Like, yeah, my Rubik's Cube is filled with jizz. Just chucks it at like the fucking.
Yeah, it's just not moving anymore. I don't know. Sir, what's this stuff? Yeah, that's that came with it. I don't know what it is. Not mine. You know, I
want to look into your store policy. You know.
Yeah, you got to return it. It says it right there.
I'm looking at all these Mexicans y'all hired. Who knows how many of them fucked that thing before he said that's me.
It's not racist. It's just, fucking laugh. I'm like, oh, sir, that actually is racist. No, you're fucking racist. Give me another fucking robot. Don't make me have to ask twice now. Return policy. I see it right there. This is America, goddammit. I only paid $300 for this robot, but I'm going to act like it cost $10,000.
I will bring Fox News over here and bring this whole company down to the ground.
I will. I got connections.
Oh, boy. Oh, Mr. American Man.
I know, and I robots.
What was it, though? There is, like, you do kind of reach this point. We already at this point where we just have stupid fucking services. I mean, there is dumb things to spend your money on, but there is, like, it's kind of, I know it's all building to something, but actually you were there for it. When last week, you and Laura visited me in San Francisco. We
didn't talk about? We skipped over this. Well, maybe because we had such a pressing issue going on, but It's like we never talked about, like, oh yeah, we got to go to Edumacation and see, Kevin Smith and Andy McKelfresh live in San Francisco.
Yeah, we hung out for the day, went to go see them, then hung out for a little bit the next day, and it was a good time. I mean, it was fun time. No weird, wild, or wacky things happened, So nothing really worth talking about that much. Other than it was a good time, it was a good show. But you could actually, I would say, the show we were at is actually on, like, I want to say it's either the newest episode of Education or second newest episode of Education.
I think it's the newest one.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to check out what we saw live
in the third row, it's on there. So you might hear my stupid laugh at some point, but yeah.
We just have like one of those like weird laughs that like, so that's like, oh, there's me.
What if you just like laugh really weird and you're like, ah, like that?
I like that one where the guy, I think it's on a Christopher Titus stand up. I think when we saw him, he had that where the guy's laughs like,
Did it like Christopher Titus stop and address him for a minute? Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I know there's somebody, one of the Christopher Titus bits he had was there was like, he said like, after some joke, he says like, I swear to God, if I hear one more like, from this corner of the room, I'm going to pull up the Nazi rape jokes. But like as I was saying,
the cool thing of Education got to meet Andy McKelfresh afterwards.
You got to meet Andy McKelfresh, yeah. Which I kind of missed two opportunities of that because I was a little bit of just kind of like, oh well, they're both probably going to leave through the back. Kevin Smith left through the back. Andy didn't apparently. I'm like, oh man, I already left. But then the next day, I had another opportunity to meet Andy McKelfresh. I mean, how was I going to know he was going to be there? But I mean, I live within walking distance of Land's End, which is this little walk path along the ocean, and I go there a lot. I almost went there the next day, but then I'm just like, nah, it's all good. I'll do other stuff. And then like I go on Twitter and like fucking Andrew McKelfresh is there with his wife, arm around her, be like, happy anniversary. I'm like, oh, I could have just bumped into him there, said, hey, what's up? Not like butt in like their picture, like, oh, it's your anniversary. What's up, man?
Yeah, because when I got to meet him, it was kind of fun because it was very like personal one. It wasn't like you wait in line like with most celebrities where you're like, okay, don't say something stupid. It was just kind of like he came out and there was about like only like 15 people left, and then just everybody turned around like, whoo, and they're holding like fucking Jay and Silent Bob like action figures. Like kind of scary, I bet, for Andrew. You walk outside and all these people just like turn around quickly just to like look at you.
There's the one guy.
He speaks of knowledge. Circle him.
What if there's the one guy holding like a VHS copy of Rocket Power?
Yeah. Well, there was a guy who had a couple questions about Rocket Power and everything. And then there was literally a guy who had like those shitty fucking Eduma correction questions where the guy's like, I sent in a question on, a couple episodes ago about the movie Fury, how it's just so unrealistic that a guy can be on fire and still shooting a gun. And Andrew just looks at him and goes like, yeah, I would not have answered that one on the show because that doesn't have anything to do with our show. That's with the movie itself that you're complaining about. And it was just like, you look at these guys just like, you literally want to go up there and just like go like just start slapping him from him. Like, that's Andrew McKelford. He is a goddamn celebrity. You don't talk to him like that.
Was he your standard? Was he your standard kind of like Captain Sweatpants, kind of like
kind of
sort
fat,
of
had a beard.
Sort of beard coming through, curly hair, glasses.
I don't know if he had glasses on. He had like a baseball hat on. Like the bad definition of like a fucking nerd or a geek, like just the stereotype. Mm-hmm. And it's just where that thing starts slapping him in front of Andrew, like, do you respect your man? Do you apologize?
What if Andrew's like, hold him down? Everybody would do as he said.
It literally is, because if a celebrity asked somebody, said like, hey, everybody grab that guy. Everybody would. No questions fucking asked. In your mind, you would not question him. Because it's like, Andrew told me to grab him. We must. Now drag him out to the street. Drag him out to the street.
That's why you don't like go to like a Kevin Smith show and like be one of those guys who tries to like outsmart him and talk shit to him on the microphone. Because then he'll like just he hasn't, because he's probably too nice for it, but he has the ability to like, everybody attack him, So
and then everybody grabs
like
a bunch of limb and start walking in the other direction.
Or
like the four horses.
Or it's one of those things. It's like fucking like in the fucking Mummy, like a bunch of people crowd around him, swarm. There's like fucking nothing left as they part. Like fucking scarabs or whatever.
It's just one of those ones. But no, it was kind of cool because it's like, oh, I gotta see him, gotta get a photograph with him, whatever. Like it's like I've learned just to like let them speak. Don't need to say everything. You just say you're glad for them to be in there. You like their work. When you start talking, you're bound to say something like, that show.
We have our own show. Yeah,
I got our own show that's kind of like we talk a little bit more about like what we want to hear about. No.
I try to just keep it brief on like whenever I meet a celebrity, it's almost literally just like shake your hands, let me work, bye, and just run away.
Yeah, you just gotta get in there. It's not like you're fucking hanging out with them. It'd be kind of cool if he was like, oh yeah, you want to go hang out afterwards? Like, yes. Don't question it.
No, but I did have that thing. Once I saw he was like just basically just a few blocks away, I was like, oh god damn it, I could have like, I mean, I wasn't like super sad or anything about it, but I was like, oh man, there's my second chance to go meet him, because I was gonna head in that direction. But then again, at the same time, I don't want to be like interrupt him and his wife going for a hike on their anniversary. It's like, hey, Andy! He's like, fuck, again? You don't want to be like, what are you guys doing later? Just like I plot between the two of them in the picture.
Well, you don't be like me and Cisco, like in San Francisco, when we used to just drive to Robin. It's like we'd be bored. Like, you want to go drive by Robin Williams' house? Yeah, sure, let's go do it. And just go drive by, do like the slow, creepy drive by. Like maybe he'll be there next to the window. Maybe he'll be getting his mail this morning. I think one day we literally went there like 4 times in the day, just like, well, let's go to Robin Williams' house. And then somebody came up to visit. It's like, you ever seen Robin Williams' house before? Come on, let's go see Robin Williams' house.
Somebody didn't know. It's like, oh, you've never seen Robin Williams' house?
Come on, you got to see it once in your life. And we just sit there circling it like as creepy as fucking can be.
Then you're like,
I guess it's not so bad, because if we maybe got out and just kind of like walked around the perimeter, that might be worse. I guess driving by is not really that big of a deal.
You go to like the gate. We go to the gate. Just put your eyes to the gate, just like not blinking, just wide open, like staring into the yard. Then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, his daughter Zelda Williams walks out. Like, can I help you guys with something? Then you just like wide eyed, just sink down below the hedges.
Either that, or like you
not
see like
blinking.
A UPS guy. You go fucking like knock him out, take his outfit, grab some packages, try to sneak in.
It's one of those things though where you think you're gonna like just comedically like bonk him on the head and like take his clothes, but instead it's like actually like fucking you gave him like a fucking like like fracture in his skull. So now he's just then he like passed out. Now you get back. Oh, he's fucking dead by the time you get back. Well, that's the thing they never go into. They just bunk the guy. They steal his clothes. They lock him in there. One of the things you should never do when you bump your head on something is go back to sleep.
Well, it's sort of like, in all the old movies and whatnot, they always hit somebody over the head with the gun. It's like, oh, he's knocked out. And I remember just being as a kid, kind of like, there was like a big article in the news or something once. They're like, getting hit in the back of the head like you see in movies and stuff, that mostly ends up killing people.
We've all seen Death Wish, right?
Yeah. Yeah, American classic there, goddammit.
Jeff Goldblum killed Chucky Bronson's wife that same way.
Exactly. You look at that and you go, how could you die from that? It fucking happens, goddammit.
It's science. Stay tuned for the weather.
Well, speaking of sad death, did you hear that Wes Craven passed away?
I heard. That is really, really sad.
That to me, it's like one of those ones that's like, sometimes, I mean, he was old enough. It wasn't like he passed away too early, because he was still like 76, But it is, like, to me, like, that guy, like, when as a kid in that time period where you finally discover, like, horror movies, and you just go after them like a rabid dog, I just remember, like, his movies were just, like, the top of the chain of, like, the ones you wanted to see. If his name was on it, you knew you were in for something really good. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, it's like, if I think about his movies influenced me, whether it be fucking Nightmare on Elm Street, The Last House on the Left, Hills Have Eyes, even Scream and so on. It's just so many of these fantastic films that he made. It was like, that's kind of like a big one. It was kind of like, I think the last big director loss that we had was like Tony Scott, where I was like, oh man, that guy's somebody who really inspired me throughout my entire life.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't really grow up watching a lot of his movies, but I know the impact he had, not on just horror, but just in film in general. So, and yeah, it is real, I mean, it's kind of, I mean, I'll be honest, it's not like I turned on a Twitter, I'm like, oh, knew it, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of happening eventually, and he was a little older. He still seemed a little too young to go, 76, but I mean, it's still one of those things that, like, it's sad, though, when it happens, I mean, you get nothing really to prepare for it, so.
Well, yeah, because it's just, I guess it was just out of the blue, but I think because he had some kind of disease going on, and I think that's always this. Nobody, like, announces it. It's not like you're flipping through Bing, and it's just like, oh, somebody's got this disease going on right now, probably going to die in 6 months. You never see that. It just sort of happens, and you're just like, oh, man.
Like Bernie Mac had like a disease for like most of his career. He just kept it under wraps.
Yeah, it's just, and I think that's like Tony Scott, same thing. He just all of a sudden it's just like, oh, he was slowly dying, and he just decided that it's getting close to the end. Just gonna take care of it. Yeah. But it is just it is kind of like a bummer, because you just kind of go, it's like, I think what was the last couple of movies I remember seeing by Wes Craven is he had. There was that one where it was all the kids out in the woods. I can't remember what the fuck that was called.
Kids out in the woods? Is that the...
It wasn't his last movie he did, but it was one of them.
Kids Out in the Woods. I mean...
It wasn't like... I'm not going to say... It wasn't like the greatest movie, but it still had some interesting things in it. And then...
Is the ones like one of the kids is like a serial killer. Well, one of the kids is reincarnated. Yeah. Has the soul of a reincarnated serial killer or something like that.
That's the one. I can't. Technically, it's one of those movies I actually kind of forgot about until right now. And then I remember Scream 4 being probably, I think, the last one of his I saw in theaters, and that one was a good one too. It's actually better than some of the other Scream movies. But it's just one of those ones. I just think of like Freddy Krueger, one of the most legendary characters. In 100 years, you'll probably still see Freddy Krueger on stuff. I bet you he won't disappear.
He won't disappear. Now that he's gone, I mean, I'm not saying this to be a dick. I'm not saying this to be a dick at all. But now that Wes Craven's gone, I could really easily see someone trying to reboot Freddy Krueger again and just trying to kind of... Because they're going to usually when this happens, they usually try to, like, remember this, remember that? Right when they happens, the business
Remember when... He made you scared at night.
Freddy Krueger, I think, is actually not the first, but one of the first, like, things I was really scared of. I'll be honest, I still have not completely, entirely seen the original Nightmare on Elm Street, but it is one of those movies. I did see the character around a lot, and that was probably one of the first things I can think of that I actually was really scared of, Freddy Krueger. So when I was a little kid, I could probably handle it now, but like I'm still like a little bitch. Like, I can't fucking watch it. He turned into a fucking worm, and he hit the girl. He threw a TV on this bitch's face and said, "Welcome to prime time." I can't fucking handle it. No, but I'll watch the original at some point. But he I think that's like probably 3 and 4 that I think I was just naming off.
Yeah, that was number 3, but
Yeah,
which I don't think he directed that. He did like the first one, and then he did like the 6th one. I almost want to say like the Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I don't know if I don't think he did any of the other ones direct wise. He might have like produced them and stuff, but.
And then was Wes Craven's New Nightmare? Was just the New Nightmare? Is just the name of it, or was it like? Is it kind of like Marvel's The Avengers, or was it just like literally Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and he's like a character in the movie?
No, it's just like a different title for like Nightmare. I think it's one just to kind of throw people off, I guess maybe. Like instead of going up, here comes number 6, or whatever it was. It's like, oh, okay, here's because technically it was the last one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets before Freddy vs. Jason. So I think it was a way just to kind of like make a new title, but slightly different.
Yeah. Well, no, I was gonna say he was one of the last characters. He was like that character was one of the last ones I was really scared of when I was a kid, but I think that now that unfortunately since he's passed, I can very easily see them trying to jump the cell phone away from him. It's all picking up.
Is it really?
Yeah. But mine's off unless mine says some of that wave's coming. But I could see them just trying to like ride this out and try and like reboot a bunch of his franchises. You know what I mean? Since he's not there to make them no more.
Well, the weird thing though is like they already sort of rebooted mostly all this stuff. It's like because they did a remake of Hills Have Eyes, which was really good. They did a remake of The Last House on the Left, which was just kind of like meh. They did a remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. They'll
do another remake since it's the most iconic character.
Yeah, that one will have. Okay, here's that movie, My Soul to Take, which was his second to last movie. So Scream 4 was actually his last film.
And Scream, they're already trying to get that off the ground, do like a Scream TV show or Scream 5, something to that effect.
Yeah. So, they'll be doing some things like that. They'll probably wait a couple years or so to kind of like do it. But yeah, I bet you, they'll have, there'll be another Scream coming up, and there'll be another, because Scream's one of those movies like, that sounds like a movie, if you could remake a movie, that one would make sense, because the whole point about Scream is Scream for like 1996. It was kind of like looking at like the horror tropes of 80s films in a sense, and then kind of using that in like a 90s story. So it's a very 90s film, very kind of like works for that time. But that kind of concept, you could literally do like, say like a brand new Scream in like 2018 and then do the horror tropes of like the 2000s.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, what are the horror tropes of 2000s exactly?
Well, because in a sense, though, the horror movies I think of like the 2000s was like
I think most of them have carried on, though, haven't they? A lot of them just kind of carried on a lot.
I guess, but like sort of like what made the 2000s ones. I don't know if they're slightly different, but like I think of more like what makes the 2000s horror films kind of was more like things like Saw and Eli Roth movies, and
so like torture porn kind of movies.
Yeah, maybe not exactly torture porn, but yeah, torture-ish movies. That seemed to be kind of like the big thing of like the 2000s. Because you think about most movies, that's like what they were. It was either that or their remakes, like sort of like the Halloween remake, the Hills Have Eyes remake. And those remakes were kind of a mixed bag. Like some of them were just like amazing. Like that Rob Zombie's Halloween, like it's just so fucking good. And then you have movies that kind of like were remade too. They were just kind of like okay. Like The Last House on the Left. The remake one was just kind of like, yeah, it was just kind of like the wussy version compared to like how extreme Wes Craven's version was. I mean, Wes Craven, he used to like not even like afterwards. He was like, he made that movie. He was like, I kind of slightly disowned that movie. I thought that went actually a little bit too far in it. And you watch that movie, and that's why I always think 70s horror was like the pinnacle of horror films mostly, is because they just felt so much more brutal than they do nowadays. Mm-hmm. Like when somebody makes a movie now, it's either like they try to put too much like character or emotion in there, and sometimes in a horror movie, it takes away from something being evil. When you give somebody a reason to be evil, well, then you kind of go, well, okay, he didn't do the right thing, but I understand why he did it. Like that kind of concept. It's sort of like what makes the Joker so good in Batman is that he just does crazy-ass things for no reason. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He doesn't have like a reason behind it. Where some of the other guys, like somebody like Mr. Freeze, you look at him and you go, well, he's not really a bad guy. It's just due to circumstances, he ended up having to do some bad things, And sometimes people try to make all the villains like a Mr. Freeze. And it's that kind of thing. It's like, well, that works for some of them, but they're not evil when you do that. When you give somebody like reason why he's doing it and like compassion and all that stuff, then they're not really evil anymore. They might be doing. They're just somebody doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, because they do try to. They try to make you sympathize with Leatherface in one of the newer Texas Chainsaw movies.
Leatherface, they always kind of make you. They always in that one. What I like about it is they make the families mostly evil, but then they kind of make Leatherface not just kind of like, hey, oh, he's just the poor retarded boy that like. Yeah, we'll get ready in about 5 or so, but he's kind of like the Yeah, they just kind of make him like, you sort of sympathize with him a bit. Like, he's killing people, but it's just because he's sort of told to and he doesn't know any better. Where, like, the other guys, like R.L. Ermey and, like, the remake ones and stuff like that guy's just pure evil. You know what I mean? He just does fucked up things because that's just who he is. And the family's evil. And I think that works for that. You know, it's if they were all kind of compassionate, it's kind of like The Last House on the Left. Like, those people are bad people, but they sort of give them, like, reason in the remake. And once you kind of have, like, a reason why they're doing things, it's not nearly as bad. In the original one, they have no reason. They just decide to torture, kill, and rape these girls, and that's just what they do. It's like, it's the 70s. These are horrible people. It's after like the Charles Manson thing, I think people just wrote these like pure evil people with no reason behind it. And I think that actually makes it scarier and darker. You know, and then to top it off, the cool thing about that Last House on the Left, the original one, is then the parents go fucking like rape shit on these guys and kill them to death. You know, takes a chainsaw to one of them. One of them gets their dick ripped off and everything. It's fucking weird. Like, you don't expect to see that. But like,
is that his first like feature length movie? Last House on the Left.
It's his first one. It's one of those movies. It's a very intense movie, but I think anybody who's really into film should at least see it once. It's not
kind of like Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, it's like a Cannibal Holocaust. It's one of those movies. Like, it's not like you're like, I'm just gonna throw this on in the background and watch it like 15 times. It's not one of those movies. But it's
not
one
like you just throwing at a party.
Yeah, definitely not one of those ones. That's one of those ones, like, if you invite a bunch of people over, like, that you didn't really know, but you're like, hey, come on over, we'll have a movie night, and you throw that one on, they might never ever come over again. But it's
I'm sorry, guys, I should have put on Clockwork Orange. That one's a little softer.
Yeah, anybody who's into film, though, I think should watch those movies, because they're very educational, and they are just one of those ones, like, you see that, I mean, because after you see that movie, you see movies that kind of rip it off, and you kind of go, well, I've already seen this, why would I need to see those ones, you know what I mean? I saw the original thing, but that movie itself, though, it's so powerful how that original Last House on the Left is. It's just, I've only seen it once. I own the movie, I've only watched it once, but, like, I remember so much of the stuff in it. I remember just the feelings you get from it, and just, it's one of those movies, you don't sit there with, like, a smile on your face. It's not like a happy movie or anything by that means. You almost don't even walk away with it feeling that good. But in the long run, when you kind of think about it, you just go of how much that gets across of these evil people and just the emotion that's in there and all the stuff. It's just one of those ones. It's worth seeing that one. Now, some of the ripoffs that they made on it, whatever, because it's not the same thing. But that film in itself is just so amazing. And it's kind of like that. And it's also like The Hills Have Eyes. The original one's still pretty darn good, too. The remake,
I've never seen the original Hills Have Eyes. I like the remake of Hills Have Eyes, but I've not seen the original.
The original one, it's good. I probably say that the remake's even better because it kind of just takes that same concept and then just extremes it. And then plus, what they don't have in the original one is he kind of goes after and kills like one person or something like that. Where I like in the remake one, like the last act of the movie is just him going there and fucking kicking ass and like taking down all the people that killed his family. I think that's kind of
Plus, I think they're able to make them look like a lot more like freakish and all that, and radioactive and all that. You know.
Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I will say there's some moments though in the original one that I think are much scarier. I think because a lot of times in '70s movies, like since there's not like a scary moment like every second, sometimes they'll just be going along like do. Here's a scene, and then all of a sudden something fucking scary happens, and it throws you off because it was just. I don't know. I think it's that thing in like a new movie. It's just like scary scene here. Make sure there's a scary scene every 5 minutes in the film. So you get kind of used to it. You know it's coming up. And some of those older ones, you don't know when they're coming and sometimes you get confused because it's like it's been 20 minutes since something like happened. So you almost
That's my problem with a lot of PG-13 horror films. Just they can't rely so much on gore or dark stuff. So they got to just put a lot of jump scares in the movie throughout. Not all of them, but a lot of the bad ones I think rely too much on jump scares. And after a while, that just gets irritating.
Exactly. It's like that thing you should be allowed a couple in each movie, a handful maybe, and that's about it. But Well, probably should get wrapped up. Gonna start making some dinner pretty soon. Good news, though, is Warner Brothers retracted their fucking copyright claim against us, or strike against us. The only thing that kind of bothers me, though, is nobody had the fucking balls to send me a fucking, we screwed up email. I sent them that email and whatnot. And
that might take another 5 days for them to get to.
Well, it was a week, and I was literally about to write them another email back being like, well, it's been a week, guys, haven't heard anything. And then all of a sudden I was on YouTube, and I was like, wait a second. I can put a picture back up for my screenshot, my own one? And I started checking the account. I was like, oh, so it's all back in good standing now, and I can upload all the rest of the podcast and everything. But nobody decided to send me an email or anything saying it's just like, I think it's that thing. It's just kind of like,
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's just like, what? You don't got the fucking, one, you don't got the balls to tell us like what we did wrong in the beginning. And secondly, you can't even fucking say you're sorry. It's just that, like, I guess one of those ones like, what, you don't got any fucking common courtesy? Some decency around here? What kind of fucking people don't say thank you? Or, I was in the wrong. Or, I'm sorry we screwed up your fucking account for the last month. Like, here's a fucking Batman statue on us.
No. There's a Batman statue. What if they do this thing where you're just sulking at the computer, like, can't believe they didn't send me a letter. There's a knock at the door. You go to the door, you open it. It's like Batman. He's like, come with me real quick. He just like takes you onto the bat jet and just flies around. He's like, I can show you the world, And then when you come back, he says, all right, we're sorry. Just takes off.
I'd be like, there you go. Now, if that's not a thank or an apology, I don't know what is. That would be what I expect.
Like, you gotta stop at my friend's house in like San Francisco. He's the other half of the podcast. Like, fuck! Okay.
Just starts punching the control panel like, oh god, jeez, I didn't mean to. He's like, do you know how busy of a man I fucking am? I had to attend a funeral last week to myself. There was a guy out there doing the fucking Lord's work. When I say Lord, I mean Superman work. Of taking care of, little kids, and he fucking passed away. I had to go to a funeral of myself. Do you know how fucking weird that is? And it's just like, sorry, and you want me to go stop by your fucking friend's house? Yeah? Well, I'll do it, but doesn't mean I'm gonna like it.
And then, like, he's just like hovering because like you weren't actually sitting in the jet with him. You're sitting like on the wing. He just like turns things. He just roll over onto the ground. Just takes off.
Yeah. He was like, I don't have time.
He just
to,
like zips by. Then he like then like just speeds right by. And then this piece of paper flows down from the sky. Just like it's like a little stickers. It's like my special day with Batman.
And then Warner Brothers like, we're sorry.
With like Bugs Bunny with his arms up, shrugging like, what you gonna do?
I'm like, we're fucked up. Not the first time. Warner Brothers, can't hate us. I'm like, you're right, I can't hate you guys. Oh man, you just made that new Mad Max game and it just looks so fucking cool. And oh, jeez, darn it.
No one can see the shuffle you're doing in your chair right now.
It is one of those ones. It's kind of hard to like hate a company that you like almost in a sense love so much. It's like, but you do kind of make some of the best movies.
You hate their lawyers.
Yeah, that is what it is. It's not like the creators and stuff that I hate. It's just that sort of like lazy ass fucking whatever. It's over now, so who cares? So now like anybody who didn't listen to the podcast on like iTunes or Stitcher or all that stuff is just going to be like, I wonder why they haven't done a podcast for a long time. And all of a sudden, it'll be like 10 episodes at once, just like, fuck. And they probably won't have time.
And we'll be fine until they get to the episode, like, before, like, Warner Brothers sees, like, the episode. What's the Green Lantern orgy? What's that? Oh, they spoiled the plot line for the next Green Lantern movie. I know
they're going to ban that one next, so we're going to have to go through that whole other fiasco again and whatnot. But whatever. That's okay. As long as it's fixed, that's all that matters. You know what I mean? Goddamn. America. Felt like there's something else I was going to say, and I don't remember. Oh, yeah, make sure to go check out Wallaby the Rabbit still, because we need more views. There's not enough there, goddammit.
I have no problem saying this. I think this is easily our best cartoon so far.
I think so, too. Check it out. You can see it on YouTube. You can see it on Vimeo. You can see it on Newgrounds. I've even put it on things like Dailymotion and some other sites I can't even remember now. It's going everywhere. I'm submitting it to some film festivals pretty soon. What I'm going to do is I'll just ask you this too. What do you think? Put both Spunkles and Wallaby the Rabbit together as one long episode and submit that to like a film festival?
I think we should do that. I think we should do is maybe find something else to slap in between the two, just so it's not a rough transition. Like, he's dead, he's alive. I think it's almost like.
Well, I got a good way where it kind of goes out to black for a bit, and then it'll just say like several months later. But I'm trying to think of a more creative way to write that, and then it kind of cuts in. But I just think I think for like a film festival that'd make more sense. Like when it's on the internet, it's like whatever, you can go check out the other one. But at a film festival, if you just kind of like wait, I mean, maybe it does. I mean, I guess it could work too if it just wakes up and just like, oh, he's at this grave. Like this is how the thing fucking starts out, you know? And I mean, you probably could see the second one without ever having to see the first one. I think it makes more sense if you see the first one, but I don't know. I'm thinking about combining them together.
We'll discuss it off the air. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, because it's like when you put them together, they run. It's like 11 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But so hopefully soon we'll be putting it up there, and whatever else we can submit it to. That's kind of the goal for that thing. But check it out. Tell your friends. Share it around. It still needs love. It didn't get enough love on Newgrounds. It got more love on YouTube for some reason, but not enough love on Newgrounds. Newgrounds is a finicky bunch. Sometimes we get like, you get that instant like 5,000 views in a week, or you get like a couple hundred, and it's like that's it. All that work for that.
It's not Minecraft or Pokemon, so it's going to be a minute.
Oh, and also another thing on Newgrounds too. Apparently, you can submit podcasts on there. So I've just been uploading like kind of like certain handful of them. Like, at the moment, I'm just putting our movie commentaries on there, so you can check out the Mario Brothers one and the Street Fighter one on there, too. I put it up there, and, like, in 2 days, there was, like, 60 views or listens, so...
If he listens, I know RJ Reviews listens to the show. I don't know if he listens... I'm assuming he listens to it all on YouTube, and that's what he responds to instead of the Podomatic or iTunes. I wonder what... Even though I like hearing what that dude has to say... and I'm glad he listens. I really wonder what he thinks when he's going to get to the Mario episode, when he gets to the suit. Because if he doesn't like the other show we're going to talk about, he's sure as shit going to hate that Mario episode. Oh, boy.
You mean if he doesn't like the movie?
That doesn't like the Mario movie, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is one of those ones, like, because we, like, are so positive on that one. But it's hilarious.
Oh, we love you, man. We love you. We love you. I'm not talking shit, but I'm just curious to know what the comment's going to be. That's all.
That's what we are, though. I just feel like we're like that kind of cast. It's just like... Maybe it's from all the negativity you see in the world that you just want to be... I think that makes me more positive. Like, you know, it's just like, I just want to love it all. Like, it takes a lot for me to not like something. It just has to be...
Positivity out of spite.
Yeah, exactly. Almost. But, I don't know, I guess maybe it's also like, too, like, I just think, like, there was this, like, weird Nazi in space movie I watched. It wasn't really the grandest one, but, like, I appreciate, like... like the special effects and stuff. I mean, like it was a fucking Finnish film, and they put a lot of fucking money into the special effects. But then they threw some
Iron
weird
Sky.
Huh? Yeah. And then they threw some weird comedy in it too. I watched it like on Netflix, and I thought it was gonna be serious because there's a sweet level on like Wolfenstein, The New Order, where like you go into space and you like the Nazis have colonized the moon and everything like that. But that game treats everything so seriously that you just thought that's like, oh, that's what this movie's gonna be about. That'd be so badass. But then it's kind of like a comedy. But it's like a partial comedy. It's like a mix between like being this like weird, wacky, almost like a Team America-ish comedy, which sounds like a good thing, but not. I don't know. It doesn't work as well too because maybe I think it's just like it's a bunch of Finnish people looking at like what they think America is, and then you got.
I know Sarah Palin's the president or something.
Yeah,
like that.
And then you got the serious like sort of action scenes too, which it's a weird balance. It's like because I was expecting to be a serious movie. That's what I wanted it to be, and then when
I'll have to
watching,
check it out at some point.
It's worth checking out. That's what it is. Because it does have some kind of cool stuff in it, but if it just didn't have the corny campiness to it, I think it would have been like...
All right, prepare yourself for this. There's a sequel coming out. I'm not sure if it's already out, but there's a sequel either just came out or it's on its way.
It must have been a huge movie in Europe, though. The credits were so fucking long on it, and there was, the special effects you're watching, and you're like... Holy crap, somebody did put a lot of money into this weird fucking comedy. This would... Yeah.
Get prepared for this. They go down to the center of the earth, and Hitler is a reptile man, and he's riding a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah, it's like one of those ones, like... I don't know, it's like... I don't think I'd go out and watch the second one. I mean, it's sort of worth just seeing this one just to see it. There's good moments in it. It's kind of just okay. I don't know, but then again, I think that like whenever you go into a movie, like expecting it something, like I was expecting to be fucking like I was watching,
Wolfenstein the movie.
Yeah, like literally like Wolfenstein the movie, or like, fucking Saving Private Ryan or something like that. That's what I literally thought I was getting into.
Saving Private Ryan in space.
Well, because like just that concept that like I like that concept that like the Nazis like in Wolfenstein they do it great because the whole point is that they take over or they win the war. So by winning the war, they take over the rest of the world. And if the Nazis are the only one running it, they can just keep building these factories like nobody's business. And it makes sense that like in the 60s, they're already in space and fucking living on it and all this stuff because they don't have any rules or regulations. So they just go through it. But maybe not everybody else sees it as a serious thing, I guess. Because that's literally what this
maybe
movie,
not.
this movie is
time
like,
will tell.
Is like the comedy one, like it's Nazis in space instead of being like just treat it like.
I think that's the way most people would view it, though. In all honesty, I think that's how most people would view a concept like that.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing because like Nazis now they're almost like zombies, where like they're just like they're that funny villain that you fight, the whoop 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 villains of life, and. I guess this was one's like to me is like being a big not Nazi fan, being a big zombie fan. Zombies.
No, I was gonna say like okay. Our views have been down lately. I'm not sure that's the best way to go about it.
But it was like being a big zombie fan. It's like they both got Z's in them. Like that kind of made me go like once they started making zombies just the wacky Saturday morning best friend thing. It was like, oh man, like zombies were so cool. It's like, oh, geez. Now how am I supposed to like show your zombie pride? It's just like it's not the now it's like since it's the cool kids thing to do, it's like it's not that cool anymore. And it's sort of the same thing of Nazis. I just remember like when I was a kid, like I was so into like all kinds of World War II stuff. It's just like fucking World War II, fucking Medal of Honor, History Channel, America, Japan, all this stuff. Like as a kid, I don't know why it just appealed so heavily. And then once like Nazis got saturated, then they started making like, well, here's the wacky Nazi adventure. It's like, but Nazis are supposed to be the big bad villains of the world. And you're like, now it's like, why are they wacky and goofy? It's like, I like them being scary and serious. That's what they were in real life. And I think that's the sort of thing. It's the same thing. It's kind of like, like a zombie's supposed to be scary.
Too distant, when it's been there long enough and it's been analyzed enough and it gets
it's going to get to some point where it's like comedic, but
because the people where it's going to because most of the people that grew up with it are dying off. So soon we're just going to have people that just kind of like, yeah, I kind of know that from movies and people tell me about it. So it's more like this fictitious boogeyman. So time is just going to be we're going to be so separated from it. We're not even going to view it as scary as it once was. But yeah.
Exactly. Well, we're just going off on multiple tangents there. Check out Wallaby the Rabbit. That's what I don't know how Wallaby the Rabbit, Nazis, and zombies all kind of came together, but check out Wallaby the Rabbit. It's funny. Tell your friends. And till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we will see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange Podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. If you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.